The NBA is back. Let's go. Today marks the start of the new NBA season. I'm super pumped. We ended last year on a great streak on Prize Picks. It was fantastic. I can't wait for this NBA season to start, and it's starting tomorrow. Super pumped about that. My name is Hart, so welcome back to the channel for all of you guys who are returning viewers. And all of you guys that are new, welcome back. My name is Hart, and I'm going to be breaking down the first NBA slate of the season on DraftKings. So I'm super pumped, super excited to get into this. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the slate breakdown. As always, before the breakdown, make sure to follow me on Twitter at HartDFS. I'll be putting up my Prize Pick plays, keeping you guys updated with all of the NBA news. If you're new to the NBA DFS slate and space, the NBA news is chaotic. It's going to happen all night. You have to keep your eye on it the whole time if you're going to be playing, because injury news, it can happen 10 minutes after lock, 1 minute right before the slate locks. We're going to get some injury news or some different starter rotations or news. So NBA is chaotic, so you definitely want to make sure to follow me on Twitter to keep updated with all the best plays and best pivot plays. So now into the slate breakdown for today. I'm testing out a new mic, so I got to tweak it a little bit more. It's starting to sound a little bit better, but I got to make sure it doesn't, I got to make sure it's close enough to my mouth to pick up my words, and also that it's not cutting off anything. So I do apologize if there's a little bit of that in this first video. I'll make sure to handle that in the next video. But at the top, we have Steph Curry, 9-4. Let me actually go team by team first, or game by game. So between Philadelphia and Boston, we got Joel Embiid at the top, 9-9. I mean, we know what we're getting from Embiid. He's a double-double machine. Boston, they have, Al Horford, who's going to start at the 5 to try to defend Joel Embiid. I just, that's barbecue chicken. He's going to be a very high-owned pay-up spot, 9-9, but with good reason. I mean, it's Joel Embiid. He's going to smash. Steph Curry, 9-4, looks pretty solid here. Let me get both these teams in here. Sorry. Jason Tatum, 9,000. We know what Jason Tatum is, the whole team. So he's pretty much their point guard. He's going to bring in the ball up a ton. I do expect him to play at least, I'd say, between 32 to 36 minutes. Anything over that is just a cherry on top. As you can see from last year, he averaged 26, almost 27 a game, almost 8 rebounds and almost 5 assists. I do expect that assist number to go up this year. As we saw at the latter end of last season, his assist number was steadily rising every game because he is more of that de facto kind of point guard now. So really like Tatum as a spend up at 9,000. I think he might be the most expensive spend up besides Anthony Davis, just for their given prices, but he looks fantastic going against Philadelphia. James Harden probably will be the lowest owned, I wouldn't say guy in the slate, because obviously there's going to be guys who are not low owned, but out of all the guys above, let's say 6, 7, 8K, James Harden is going to be the lowest owned out of all of them. I mean, he's kind of fell off a cliff in terms of that offensive game. I know this season he's trying to come back with vengeance. He's lost a bunch of weight. So we'll have to see how that plans in the first game and for the rest of the season. But as of right now, the public is not on him. As you can see, he's just more of just a pass first, not shoot first, which we're used to seeing James Harden as kind of that shoot first, score first, then pass. But 8-9, I just don't think you have to do it unless you want to get contrarian. I will say he'll be probably 10% or less owned, and that'll be good for you guys' lineups if you want to get contrarian and play him. But he does have a pretty low floor in this new role. Tyrese Maxey, they're expecting him to step up, when it comes to scoring the ball as well. So I just don't think you have to force James Harden unless you want to get contrarian. I will say that he will be super low owned, so it will definitely help you out in this 2-game slate to get different from the field, because I don't think most people are going to play him. Jaylen Brown, another guy who will probably go a little bit under-owned, 8K. He is more scoring dependent, but he has stepped it up. He did step it up in the playoffs when it came to rebounding the ball, getting some assists, a blocker, a steal. But once again, he's kind of scoring dependent. Should see between 32, 36 minutes out of this team. So at 8,000, I don't mind getting there, but don't know if he's a necessary lock-in. Next, the highest guy is going to be Tobias Harris, 5'9". I think this price is a little too cheap, Tobias Harris. As we saw last season, pretty much he was pretty up and down the whole season, but his price never dipped below 6,000. So starting him off at 5'9", not really sure why. I mean, he does have to compete with Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid for, being able to score the ball, but he's a good 3-point shooter. They're going to be probably running him out there the whole game. They do like to play him a ton of minutes, so I'm pretty much expecting at least 30 plus in this spot for him in this first matchup against Boston. He's a taller guy, so they'll probably have him on, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum to help out. So do expect a good amount of time for Tobias Harris. I think 5'9" is just way too cheap for him in this spot against Boston. So he's one of my favorite plays on the slate for today. Next guy we have is going to be Marcus Smart, 5'2". He looks like an okay play. I mean, he does have some upside, but, with the addition of Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White's moving into the starting lineup as well. I just don't think, Marcus Smart is a must play at 5,200. It's just one of those more of the contrarian plays. He's going to play a ton of minutes. He's just the lowest of the low on the totem pole of scoring. And that's kind of what you need out of, your lineup is a guy who's going to go out there and, score maybe 12, 15 plus points, especially, in that scoring department, and as well as get those assists, rebound steals, which is what he can do. But it just comes down to scoring and shooting the ball. Don't really see him putting up those numbers tomorrow, but who knows? Once again, if you want to go there for kind of more of a contrarian play, you can definitely do that. But I prefer to get down to a guy like Tyrese Maxey. Probably will be one of the most popular guys in the slate for good reason. 5,000 for him is way too cheap. He's going to see 32 plus minutes. He's fantastic in the preseason. He is very aggressive. Expect him to come out being very aggressive this year as I'd say number 2 option behind Joel Embiid. So 5,000 for Tyrese Maxey. Don't know why they priced him down this low. I think that's way too cheap. I do think it's another one of those where you kind of had to lock in. It's really hard for him to fill at that price. But if you want to fade the field on that, he'll probably be 60% owned, if not more. You could definitely do that, but it's a little bit scary for a guy who's 5K, and he has massive, massive upside if he's hitting those threes. Who else we got here? Brogdon, going to be another super popular play. Probably, he's up there for 6th man of the year already, and before the even starts, just because everyone thinks he's going to be coming off the bench. Probably playing at least 25 minutes, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less in this first game. Do expect him to kind of play 25 to 30, maybe more if he's doing well for the rest of the season off the bench as that 6th man. When he comes in, do expect him to do well. He's a guy who can shoot the ball. He can get you rebounds. He can get you assists, blocks, steals, whatever it be. He can kind of do it all. He's a jack of all trades. He's a really good player. He's just been hindered by injuries the past few years, so that's why, he's not leading the team, and now he's more of a 6-man role, but really, really like what he has. Don't mind going to him at 4,900. Once again, him and Tyrese Maxey are going to be 2 of the most popular cheap guard plays on the slate. I like DeAnthony Melton a decent amount. He'll be like a 6th, 7th man off the bench for Philadelphia. He'll be kind of taking over. Shake Milton never really had that role, but Philadelphia really needs a guard off the bench who's a decent scorer, can run points, and that's what DeAnthony Melton brings to this team. So I do kind of expect 15 to 25 minutes, kind of in that range for this first game. We'll have to see how it plays out, but 4,200 for him. I don't mind taking a shot there. Derek White, 4,100. He's moving into the starting lineup. I don't mind it. It's just one of those things. It's kind of like a Marcus Smart. Like Derek White's obviously a good shooter, good scorer, but he's not going to go out there and get you a ton of rebounds, assists, blocks, or steals. So he's very score independent. And when you got Jason Tatum pretty much as the de facto point guard, you got Jaylen Brown, you got Al Horford who could shoot, Marcus Smart. I mean, you got at least 2 people, if not 3 people in front of him when it comes to the totem pole. So at 4,100, the price is great. It's just, I don't know if there's enough opportunity for him to smash at 4,100, but I don't mind it. I'd say it's like a B play for me. When you factor in the ownership, which will probably be, once again, 60+% on him, at least 50. I don't know. You can definitely fade him, but looks like an okay play at 4,100. Who else we got here? Korkmaz. So let's go through the rotations. I think for Philadelphia, obviously they're going to start Harden, Maxey. Who do we got here? Harden, Maxey, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, 3,700 for him. He'll probably see close to, I'd say, between 25 to 30 minutes. I'd say maybe close to that 25 range. He'll be the 4. I don't think you have to force it on the slate. 3,700. It's a decent value for him, but once again, he's like the last option on that team to score baskets. You really need him to hit those corner threes, and if he's not doing that, I can see a decent amount of opportunity when it comes to corner threes for him, just because Joel Embiid, he's such a great post player, very dominant. They're going to have to help off PJ Tucker to help Embiid, and that's going to leave him in the corner. So I do think there will be a good amount of threes for this Philadelphia team to be able to shoot. He just needs to hit them. Otherwise, he's just not going to pay off that salary. But I don't mind taking a dart throw there, 3,700. It's just his minutes. They could be limited. He could get in foul trouble, or they could look to Niang off the bench, Montrezl Harrell. So don't mind taking a dart throw at PJ, who will most likely be starting at 3,700. Off the bench, I do think they'll bring Niang in for 10, 15 minutes, 3,400. Don't think you have to do that. I mean, Daniel House Jr. will probably see some run off the bench as well, 3,300. More of a 3-and-D guy. Thibault will probably get a little bit run. And then I think they'll probably run 9-man rotation. So they'll probably run, I'd say, at least Niang, House Jr., Thibault. And I do think, where is he? Montrezl Harrell will get that backup power forward center run. I'd say at least 15 to 20 minutes. So at 4,600, he looks solid. I just think he's just too limited with the minutes to be able to get you there. But I don't mind taking a dart throw if you want to take a dart throw at a random center play. But it kind of limits you at the center position when he's just center eligible and not center power forward eligible. So 4,600, I don't think you have to force it. Also because his minutes are not guaranteed. Maybe we'll see Paul Reed get thrown in there over Montrezl Harrell. So that'll have to be something to keep an eye on. But it's Doc Rivers, so we'll probably won't get that information. On the Boston side, touched on the top guys. Al Horford looks pretty solid. I mean, he's a shooter. It just comes down to, do you trust him not getting into foul trouble guarding Embiid? If you do, I'd say run him out there. 4,900 is pretty cheap for a guy who will probably see 30-plus minutes. Last season, his minutes were limited, but in the playoffs, he was doing very, very well. So they were riding him pretty much every game, and they didn't get any help off the bench. Robert Williams is out for the next few months, so really expect Al Horford to, you start where he left off last season. So 4,900 for him looks very, very, very appealing. So I do like that a decent amount, but once again, you have to trust that he's not going to get in foul trouble against Embiid, and that's very hard because Embiid's a big, big man. Pause. Robert Williams, as I said, out for, a few months. Derek White touched on him. Blake Griffin's absolute dust. I mean, if you play him and he actually gets more than 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and he ends up in the optimal lineup, I just don't know what to say about that. He's god-awful. He's trash at 4,000. Grant Williams will probably get some run off the bench, 3,900. He needs to hit the threes, otherwise he's not going to get you there. Pritchard's probably going to lose out to Brogdon on that backup guard run. Maybe we'll see a little bit of Noah Vonleh. I don't mind taking an absolute dart throw here at 3,000. If you think, Al Horford's getting into foul trouble, the next biggest guy is going to be Blake Griffin, and he's just gross. He's so washed up. So, I mean, that leaves room for, them to go to Noah Vonleh. He's like the same size as Blake Griffin, like 6'9", 6'10". So they're not going to be able to guard Embiid, but he'll definitely help slow him down. And if those guys get in foul trouble, you can definitely see Noah Vonleh getting at least 10, 15 minutes and 3,000. That would easily pay it off. So don't mind taking that shot there. Otherwise, pretty much just sticking to the 6-7 main guys on the Boston side. Going to this Lakers and, Lakers Golden State game. We got the news. James is probable, dealing with some random foot soreness. Classic Lakers. Can't even start the first game of the season without injury news. Anthony Davis, classic back news. Russ is probable for that hamstring, so once again, keep an eye on for these news. Follow me on Twitter for that. Schroeder's out, and Thomas Bryant got ruled out. So, with that news, Lakers side, LeBron James 9-2. I just think, I do think we can probably expect, at least 35 minutes in this spot against the Warriors. I do think LeBron's going to want to spoil the Warriors ring night at home. So I could see LeBron getting an extended run in this first game. 37 years old, and he's still arguably one of the best, if not the best player in the NBA. So 9,200. I do think he'll get a little under-owned. I do think people are going to pay up for Embiid, pay for Tatum, pay for a guy like Steph, Anthony Davis. He's going to be super, super popular. Wouldn't be surprised if he's closer to 70% owned. 8-5 for Anthony Davis going against this small Warriors team. He should see probably 35 minutes, if not more. I mean, that's just too cheap for Anthony Davis at 8,500. So, really like both of them. I do think LeBron James is going to go under-owned because people would rather pay up or pay down. And he's old. People are going to be like, oh, is he not going to play that much? I think, he's going to be fine. We know what we're getting from him. He's easy triple-double machine. Russ, 7-4. He's not going to start. I think their starting lineup, they said, is going to be most likely, it's going to be Pat Bev, Austin Reeves, Lenny Walker, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. Once again, we'll have to keep an eye on that because it does change some of the plays on the Lakers side, but that's most likely going to be the starting lineup. Pretty small with Anthony Davis at the 5, but it does work out in his favor. Not sure it works out for LeBron in his 4 role, but at the same time, he's going to guard Draymond. That's going to give him a lot of rest. So even if Russ off the bench, 7,400, I just don't think you have to force it. Just a little too pricey for a guy who's going to get that second 6-man run. Schroeder's out. Bryant is out. So, as I said, Pat Bev probably see 30-plus minutes in this game guarding Steph. 4,300 looks like a pretty solid value play. It just comes down if he's going to get you those blocks, steals, rebounds, and assists. I mean, he could hit you a couple threes. Do expect him to shoot, a couple threes in this game. So 4,300 looks like a very solid value play. Lonnie Walker, once again, looks like a solid value play. I'd say probably 25 minutes you get out of Lonnie, maybe a little bit more. Scoring dependent guard, so it's just one of those things. 4,200. He's a nice pivot play off of a chalky. What's his name? Derek White. Pretty much the same price, kind of the same role. That scoring guard in the starting lineup. Like the 4th guy in the totem pole in that pecking order in the starting lineup, does make for a decent contrarian pivot play off of a guy like Derek White in that shooting guard spot. So if you want to take that shot, you can. I just think it's a little too scoring dependent for me. Damian Jones is going to be that backup center run. I'd say expect at least 20 minutes out of him, maybe 15. I'd say prepare for 15. If he gets extended past that, that's good. I mean, he's foul prone, but he can put up some decent amount of points and rebounds in some runs. So 3,500 looks okay. It's pretty decent at that price going against Golden State. Austin Reeves, 3,400. The price tag, even though it's very cheap, I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, he's a guy who can go out there and get you, some assists and rebounds, maybe hit a few threes, but once again, I just don't think he's going to be involved offensively. Maybe he comes out firing, but I do think they're going to run the ball through LeBron, through Anthony Davis. You look to a guy like Kendrick Nunn off the bench, who's going to be kind of like that 7th man. I do think they're going to play Russell as like a point guard off the bench, as I said, 6th man. Also do think they're going to run him out there with Kendrick Nunn, who's going to be I think they can both be kind of like a 1-2 combo guard where one of them's, the point guard, and then they switch off. But I say my favorite play is going to be Kendrick Nunn off the bench for the Lakers. Heard all of last year, looked great in the preseason. So at 3,000, I think that's way too cheap for a guy who's going to get a ton of run. Not really sure who else they're going to play. I mean, you're running out LeBron, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, Lenny Walker, and Pat Bev. I mean, that's one of the grossest lineups I've ever heard of in my life. And then the guys off the bench are going to be Damian Jones, maybe some Gabriel, JTA. I mean, it's just a disgusting bench, disgusting team. They have some good value spots in the guards, but otherwise I just think you really just want to play LeBron and Anthony Davis. Everyone else besides that is kind of a toss-up. Do prefer Kendrick Nunn. I'd say he's my favorite play besides those 2 main stars on the Lakers side, just for his price. I mean, he's a good point per minute guy. He's not afraid to shoot the ball. In that last preseason game, he was playing alongside LeBron. There's a few times where he just pulled up from 3 during a fast break, so he's not afraid to shoot it. He was doing very well for the Heat before they traded him, so 3,000 for him is way too cheap. Going to be one of the probably most popular value play on the slate at 3,000. And then Golden State side, Steph Curry. I mean, the one thing we do have to keep an eye on for is, where is it? Steve Kerr. Really? Not even the first game of the season hasn't even started, and you're going to come out and say we're going to rely on our depth with a couple of weeks of the schedule. You'll have all those guys running for 30 plus minutes, but right now we're gonna, they're not ready for it. You can pay millions, multi-millions of dollars to play an NBA game, and you're not conditioned for the first game of the season. He's a troll. I don't buy it. I do think Steph and Wiggins are going to see 30-plus minutes in this matchup versus the Lakers. I just don't see Steve Kerr playing the random bench guys because they're going to get blown out, even though the Lakers team is not good. So do have a decent amount of interest in Steph Curry, 9-4 to spend up. Andrew Wiggins, he looks pretty solid here at 7,000. I don't think a lot of people are going to get to him. He's going to be one of the main guys guarding LeBron. It'll be interesting to see kind of how the Warriors match up if they put Looney on Anthony Davis and then Wiggins on LeBron or Draymond on LeBron. But 7,000 for Andrew Wiggins, it's kind of the top of his price range, but I don't mind getting into it. He did leave off in that championship series, being an absolute beast on the rebounding board. Said he's going to board a lot harder for the rest of his career. So don't mind him at that spot at 7,000. Do think he's a nice pivot play in that area for that price. Jordan Poole, going to be super popular, 6'7" off the bench. What we're going to get from him. He's going to come out there and shoot the ball a ton. It really helps out that the Lakers are going to be playing small because Jordan Poole should have his way with guys like Austin Reeves, Lonnie Walker, all of them. So at 6'7", do think he might be my favorite play on the Warriors side, but he's a little bit scoring dependent, especially when all the Warriors guys are healthy. I mean, he does play off the ball a little bit. You really need him to be that main guy. Not sure if we can get that, but 6'7" looks like a decent price tag for him. Klay Thompson, it's the same thing I said all of last season. Going to be super low owned, 6,500. Everyone's going to rather get to Steph. They're going to rather get to Poole. They're going to have to get to Wiggins for the respective prices compared to Klay. I mean, Klay was just brutal last year. I mean, he just didn't look like normal Klay. He had a few good games. Otherwise, he was just god awful. So, going to be super low owned. Don't mind getting to him as a nice pivot play at 6,500. Super low owned on the slates. Guarantee it was like that every playoff slate. And all the faders never got punished. So don't mind taking a shot here if you want a piece from this Warriors side, 6,500. I will say with that Steve Kerr quote, he may be limited to like 30 minutes. Same with Draymond. Maybe they get to 31, 32. But that's the only downside there. Otherwise, I like Klay a good amount. Draymond Green's okay, 5,800. Just a little too foul prone for me, trying to guard LeBron or AD or whoever it is. James Wiseman is 5,700, just a little too expensive. I mean, he should be that sixth man off the bench or like the seventh man for the Warriors going against, Damian Jones, whoever else the Lakers try to throw out there. So he should eat, but 5,700, I'm expecting maybe like 20 minutes out of him, maybe 22. So it looks like an okay play at 5,700. Kevon Looney, 4,500. Don't think you need to do it. He's a guy who was already limited when it came to the minutes. But once again, Steve Kerr had that quote, so maybe he sees a little bit less. But at the same time, who's going to guard AD? Kevon Looney, he's a better defender than James Wiseman, even though James Wiseman's bigger. But I just see if James Wiseman gets thrown on Anthony Davis, there's going to be a lot of foul trouble coming these Warriors big men way. So I could see a point where they'd throw Draymond Green on Anthony Davis just to ease the pain on these big men. So I do think there's a lot of foul trouble risk with these two big men. I'd rather get to any other big man on the slate besides these two. But James Wiseman does have a good amount of upside going against that second string bench on the Lakers side. DiVincenzo should see, I'd say 20 minutes out of him is going to be safe off the bench. 4,400, don't mind it. He should look to score a little bit with Jordan Poole. He's a guard who, he'll get in there, he'll get steals, rebounds, assists. So looks pretty solid, especially if they do dip into the bench a little bit. Jonathan Kuminga, probably see 15 minutes. He's just more of like a slasher. He's not really a scorer, not really a defender. 4,200, the price looks good. He'll probably get 15 plus minutes, but I just don't see how he's going to be able to defend a guy like a guy like LeBron James or whoever they throw out at the 3 or 4 for the Lakers side. So I just don't think I'd get there. Jermichael Green makes for a decent punt play, 3,800. I could see him getting 15, 20 minutes, especially if like Wiseman or Lilly gets in foul trouble and they want to go, small or just another body off the bench. He's like the biggest guy off the bench besides Wiseman. So they could definitely throw him out there to help out with LeBron or Anthony Davis. So he's a good 3-and-D guy. Not a ton of upside, but if he does get, 15, 20 minutes and there's foul trouble with those other bigs, he could easily get you there at 3,800. That really does it for the bench. Maybe Moses Moody sees 15 minutes, but I just think you kind of stick with the main guys. If you think there's going to be foul trouble, definitely look to a guy like a Jermichael Green. You could definitely take a shot on James Wiseman. Otherwise, I just stick with a Poole, Wiggins, Curry, or a Clay. And that really does it for the slate breakdown. A little rusty, looking to get back into it. Hopefully the mic volume is pretty decent. I'll get that fixed, as I said. But thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the next breakdown.